I'm getting so annoyed with Bernie. I'm trying to restrain because I can't go a day on the internet without running into some Bernie bro on Twitter who is a pretentious, arrogant gas bag that will talk down to you the whole time and act like you don't know anything about the working man while they're like sitting in an apartment in New York City or some shit, or San Francisco, right? They're sitting in like a $3,000 a month apartment telling the rest of us that we need to focus on the working man. It's like, no shit. You know what I mean? There we go. I do know about the working man. So, dude, Bernie can't seem to win elections, but he is good at interrupting elections. Bernie said she is not going to win this election, and she is going to have a very difficult time winning unless she begins to speak forcefully about the needs of the long neglected working class of this country. It's like the same shit he's done in 2016. Dude, what is Bernie doing? I don't know what's going on. It's possible that they're framing it the wrong way, and maybe there's some context we don't know about. Let's see what we got here.
Senator Bernie Sanders has started his two-day swing in the Northeast. He held a town hall just across the border in West Lebanon. His goal, to rally working-class voters around progressive priorities. But many were watching to see if he'd officially endorse Kamala Harris.
I believe he is not yet.
Vermont's congressional delegation not to do so yet. ABC.
See, he hasn't endorsed her yet. But here's my worry, guys, before we get into this. I worry about a repeat of 2016. Bernie spent his entire time shitting on Hillary, declaring that she wasn't for the working man, stayed in the race way too long, gave it sort of a half-hearted endorsement when he finally did endorse her. But ultimately, what he did was he delivered a roadmap for the Trump campaign in how to appeal to the white middle class. Because that's really it. People of color don't like him. Women don't like him. White middle class, like somewhat conservative independents kind of like him. But Bernie should not be trying to hold Kamala hostage with the endorsement. He should be endorsing the shit out of her and going and taking that populist message to those people for her, and then working with her to start that in Congress, because the president doesn't start that. Congress needs to pass those laws. It's Bernie's job to write the legislation and get it through Congress.
Matt Holderman reports from the Granite State.
While talking to a crowd of roughly 200 people,
and
Senator
he hasn't
Bernie
endorsed
Sanders
her
once
yet.
Again, did not give an official endorsement for likely presidential candidate Kamala Harris, but he did say he thinks she could win the White House as long as she focuses her campaign on working class concerns.
She is not going to win this election, or she's going to have a really hard time unless she begins to speak forcefully about the needs of the long neglected working class of this country.
Dude, the long neglected working class, which Joe Biden and her actually did a pretty good job of sticking up for. Union support, more union jobs, bringing manufacturing home. Like Bernie, dude, not as bad as they made it seem. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I still don't like it though, dude. I still don't like it. He's not openly endorsing her. He's making it seem like she's not really doing what it takes, bro. Dude, this bothers me.
The crowd, his goal of the day was to hear from them about their biggest concerns and have a conversation about them. He even at one point said they should ask him questions they have for Harris, as Sanders plans on talking with her next week.
If Kamala Harris...
See, this is the problem. Look at the voters in this room. New Hampshire, it's white rural voters. So Bernie should be taking their message to Kamala, but from a vantage point of being with her.
With you, and I'll probably talk to her next week. So I'll convey your thoughts. What would you have me say to her? Yes, ma'am.
What ended up being one of the big talking points of the day, the cost of living in America. Sanders says Democrats for too long have not understood that tens of millions of working Americans are struggling to put food on the table. And he says addressing that problem is how to win the White House.
Talking about those issues, campaigning on those issues, and coming up with specific solutions about these crises is exactly the right thing to do and the way to win the presidency, and I think win it big, because I think there is a huge hunger out there among working people.
The problem I have with Bernie is not so much the theoretical content of what he's saying, because I agree with him. We need to craft legislation that takes care of the people on the working class bottom rungs of our social structure. 100%. I want them to have good lives. But what I don't like is when you say something like, she's not going to win unless she does this, that's implying that she's not going to do it, maybe. That's implying that her being a person for the working man is in question, when she's already talked about being about for the middle class. And you know this. You know what I'm saying? That's the part that bothers me. He's starting off from a position of contrarian, like Kamala has to prove this to us. And that's not the right message. I don't want to hear any more messaging from Bernie that so-and-so's got to prove it, right? I want Bernie to be the deliverer of the message. And then think about this. Okay, you ready? Let me just run something by you for Bernie. Bernie, if you're watching, this message is for you, buddy. If you're going to sit there, you, Bernie, ran for president now twice. So Bernie, if you were capable of being the president of the United States and you had the willpower and the tenacity to fight for an agenda as the president of the United States, to be the leader of the free world, Bernie, then you certainly should have enough balls to be able to get your agenda partially adopted by Kamala Harris or whomever the Democratic candidate is. Don't you think? If you could actually be the boss, you should be able to go in and sway the boss. So quit going around campaigning, talking like that's something that needs to come from the boss. I want you to bootstrap, motherfucker. I want you to take some of that you could be president energy and guarantee to these people that you're going to march their agenda to Kamala Harris and you're going to help get it done. I mean, that seems fair, right? If he's on the squad, if we're all working together, Bernie, quit being a bitch and make a move, buddy. Okay? Because I don't think a guy who's going to sit there and say, well, if she doesn't adopt this, we're not going to do anything, right? That's not the kind of guy that even deserved to be president. Come on. That's my philosophy, is if you're on the squad, be on the squad. If that motherfucker draws a roadmap for Trump again with white working class people, dude, I'm going to take a trip to Vermont, bro. Me and Bernie are going to mud wrestle. I'm serious. Dude, that shit pisses me off, dude. It really does, bro. Bernie
Also told the crowd his ultimate goal is keeping Donald Trump out of office.
It is absolutely imperative for the well-being not only of this country today, but for our kids and future generations that Donald Trump be defeated.
Let's go. All right, Bernie. Now, again, there may be some extra context around that we didn't get, so I'm not going to completely throw Bernie off the bus. But I will say this, though, that Bernie, he f***ed around in 2016. And something about him, like, I honestly don't think Bernie likes women presidential candidates, man. I don't know, dude. He needs to get his shit together, bro. Come on, Bernie.
Joining us now, Vermont Independent Senator and former Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders. Senator Sanders, when you hear phrases like that DEI hire already being used, or you hear an Ohio State senator today at J.D. Vance's rally warning it would take a civil
Just 3
war
days ago?
to save the country if Trump is not elected, what does it tell you about what lies ahead in the next few months in this campaign?
Well, it's going to be a brutal campaign.
This is true.
I believe that Kamala Harris is going to be the next president of the United States.
Let's go, Bernie.
And I think, Anderson, she has a chance to win this election big if we can focus on the serious problems facing working families all over this country. Politics is not a game. It's not about polls or misstatements. What it's about is what we can do to address the fact that 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck.
Dude, Bernie, I just find him irritating. Dude, it's hard. How is it that I can love the man's policies so much, but find the man himself so just irritating? I'm baffled by that. I really am. Is it just me? I don't know, something about his voice. and his little like angry grandpa, like if we don't do what Bernie says, what Bernie's warning about.
While the people on top have never, ever had it so good.
I mean, the policy is
50%
spot
of our
on, bro.
are living on $30,000 a year or less. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any nation on earth. And what we have got to do is do what we did in the American Rescue Plan, is make the child tax credit permanent. That's $300 a month per kid. We cut childhood poverty by 40%. We got to bring that back because it's really tough to raise a kid with the cost of child care and everything else in this country. You got workers out there making $10 an hour. Nobody can get by on $10, $11 an hour. Got to raise that minimum wage to living wage.
$11 an hour is crazy.
On an economic agenda, among other things, she's going to win and win big.
Have you talked to her since President Biden dropped out? And if so, what did you say to her?
Well, I did talk to her, but those conversations are private.
I figured.
But again, I think, yeah.
Vice President Harris, though, has...
Dude, Bernie dodged that one. Come on, Bernie. Dude, what did Bernie say? Dude, why didn't he want to share anything? Those conversations are private. Dude, that's a little weird. Bernie. Dude, did Bernie try to slide into the DMs or what?
Endorsed by at least 41 Democratic senators, 186 Democratic representatives, 23 Democratic governors. You've yet to endorse her. You'd previously supported President Biden staying in the race. Will you... What's going to take for you to endorse the vice president?
Well, I'm sure that I will, but I want to just chat with her, and I want to make sure. Look, this is a consequential.
I'm
campaign.
Sure that I will.
It is, when we talk about the future of the planet and climate change, we have to make sure that we elect the vice president. When we talk about economic rights, we got to make sure that we elect the vice president. I just want to make sure that her campaign understands that for too many people in this country, when they look at Washington, D.C., they feel ignored, they feel insulted, that people are not understanding what is going on in their lives. Life expectancy for working class people is 10 years shorter than it is for the rich.
Yeah, dude, look at this.
And working class people.
Look at this, though, Bernie. Look at his tone. He's so aggro. I think part of it is people don't want to work with him because his tone, he's not a very hopeful man. I mean, even the tone of this CNN piece. Look at Kamala's energy over here. She has renewed a vigor in the Democratic Party. There's 100,000 people on Zoom. People are signing up to go and volunteer. But now watch Bernie's energy as a foil to her.
Washington, D.C., they feel ignored. They feel insulted. That people are not understanding what is going on.
Dude, he's angry. He's like...
Life expectancy for working class people is 10
years. Dude, she's probably the most progressive person we've had running for president yet.
Than it is for the rich.
Right? That has a shot at winning.
Working class people.
And he's over there like,
that represents them and not corporate America. And I just want to make sure that the vice president, as I'm sure she will be, will stand up strongly with an agenda that speaks to the long neglected needs of working families. And if she
see, you know what I'd like to see from Bernie? And I realize Bernie gets to be Bernie, so I can't control the man. But what I would like to see with somebody like Bernie on here is saying, you know what? I'm excited that Kamala is running. She's the most progressive candidate we've had. And I believe she is going to devote herself to helping these working families. And you know what, Anderson? I'm going to make sure to it. I am going to be actively involved in teaming up with Kamala Harris to make sure we get progressive legislation that tackles the problems of working families. Because it's high time that we fix that shit. It's high time that we get in there and are for them. And we're going to prevent Donald Trump from getting in office. And I'm going to partner up with her. And we are going to bring progressive legislation finally to the people of America. Let's go! Right? See, now that Bernie could do. But Bernie just seems resentful. He seems angry. He seems like he's angry, like he's still working out the two-time loser presidential campaign demons. You know what I mean? And I don't like that, man. Politics is about focusing on commonalities and recognizing where the power structure lies and how to use the power structure. And the thing about Bernie that is really hard is I feel like Bernie doesn't really do politics well. He's great with the theoretical talk, and he's great at like the angry grandstanding of like, we really need a change. But like Bernie's not good at going into the room and becoming allies with the people in there in order to get his shit done. And that's a real problem. And that's a real problem that leftists sometimes face because they tend to always adopt this attitude that they're like intellectually and, you know, integrity-wise superior to everybody. They believe they have a more superior belief system, and so therefore they don't need to make any concessions, or they don't want to find those commonalities and be happy with incremental change. And Bernie's not really good at that. He's not really good at pulling people together, right? He's good at sort of like being the journeyman troubadour.
Would you have liked to have seen, more of a? There were some, people who had talked about some sort of shortened primary process. Would you have liked to have seen more people having a chance to kind of throw their hat in the ring, debate these issues, talk about these issues, make their case, all the issues that you've just discussed to the American people?
Well, this has been a really weird election process. It goes without saying. I have not been overjoyed to see the kind of attacks against the president, President Biden.
He's butthurt about Biden.
Media.
Dude, I loved Biden. I was his biggest supporter, but I'm not butthurt about him. I don't.
And I think a lot of that was
whatever.
Just not
I just want to win.
But he is out of the race right now. Kamala Harris is going to be the candidate, and I will do everything I can to make sure that Trump is defeated and that she is elected.
All right, Bernie.
And just briefly,
you better endorse her, mother.
Do you have somebody you would recommend?
Look, at a time when we are moving toward an oligarchic society where a small number of billionaires exercise incredible power over our economic and political systems, I want a ticket which is prepared to stand up and fight for working class people. That's what I want. And there are a number of people out there who are prepared to do that. But that's who I would like to be part of that ticket.
Dude, why didn't he answer the question there? That's one of the things that I sort of don't like about Bernie is he asked him, who would you like to have as VP? And why didn't Bernie answer? You know, like, is he wants him. He wants it, doesn't he? Right? Bernie wants it. You think? You think he wants it? You think he's going to go to Kamala and be like, please make me VP? Why is Bernie doing that? He didn't answer the question, man. That was like a super fair question. And he didn't identify somebody, which is like, I just get these vibes from Bernie, man, that he's like, Bernie's pissed. Bernie never got over the fact that he's a two-time loser, bro. I'm telling you, he didn't. Dude, his tone and manner of delivery, he's just always like persnickety. You know what I mean? He's always mad, bro. Right? This is what I said here, dude. Bernie does not know how to win presidential elections. Pass it on. He doesn't. Bernie. Dude, Bernie, you need to get your shit right, boss.